As the Supreme Court weighs whether to uphold the Trump administration's tariffs, the president is teasing rebate checks from collected revenue.
Though it will have to pass several hurdles before that happens, of course. Fox's Mark Meredith reports.
The White House wants to reassure Americans the U.S. economy is top of mind as the Trump administration considers multiple ways to boost the U.S. consumer. President Trump says one idea still under review, sending out $2,000 rebate checks to lower and middle income Americans. But it's an idea officials say is still a work in progress.
We will see. We need legislation for that. That would be for working families. Will have an income limit. Those could go out.
Some lawmakers are skeptical of the idea.
How do we make sure that life is more affordable in general? That's an expensive way of doing that versus making sure that we've got a reasonable taxation level that allows people to go and small businesses to go and be successful.
The White House says the payments may come in several forms, including additional tax cuts, but don't expect a check anytime soon. The president says it won't happen until next year at the earliest.
We have a lot of money from tariffs. If we didn't have tariffs, this nation would be in serious trouble.
And the money sitting in government coffers may not be there long. The Supreme Court is deciding whether the president has the authority to issue sweeping tariffs without congressional approval.
The Trump tariffs are causing costs on everyday Americans to increase by thousands of dollars per year. This is an affirmative effort to make life more expensive for the American people.
If the court rules against the White House, the administration may be forced to return billions of dollars in collected revenue. At the White House, Mark Meredith, Fox 4 News.
Welcome to the J.J. Carrell Show. Rebates from the tariffs. Why is, of all the news, why am I focusing on this? Because I believe it is exactly the greatest example that we're living through today of how much our government hates us. Rebates from tariffs. And I'm going to show you some videos as we come in and talk about this. The Democrats, in collusion with the Republicans and Speaker Johnson, openly admit that, no, we're not going to do that. Nope. We need to pay down the federal debt. And I don't think it's right to give the money back to the American people. We need to be better stewards of the money. I could understand that to a point if we had no foreign debt, we were giving no money to foreigners, none. Illegal aliens would get their ass out of our country, and we just hunkered down and said, we're paying the debt down. Okay, we're all in. That's not what we're doing. This is one of those times where it kind of struck me this weekend, I should say, is I was just thinking, looking through X and looking through my social media as I was just kind of hanging on the sofa. And it struck me like that. I saw a post on the $900 billion defense spending bill. Okay, I'm all for national security. I know it costs money. I know there's R&D that is expensive. I get it. I get it all. But then you look inside the bill. And that's what struck me when I'm looking inside the $900 billion, basically $1 trillion spending bill for military. And I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute. You bastards won't give me my money back. See, this is how we need to talk. This is the verbiage we need to say. You're not giving me your money. You're giving me my money back. My money that you took through taxation that you don't have the right to, that we're offsetting with tariffs. So I want my money back. You're not doing me a favor. You're giving me back what I should never have given you. I didn't give you. You took it from my paycheck. So now I want it back. But you won't give it back to me because you want to, quote, pay down the debt. But when a new bill comes up, you are all in and voting on it. And what is inside that bill that's driving me insane? Trump wants to give us $2,000. I get it, $2,000, fine. How about 20? How about 50? How about $100,000 each? Why don't you give me all my tax money back? my federal income tax money. Just give me 50% of it. So you'll owe me a couple $100,000. But inside that spending bill, they gave $900 million to Ukraine. They gave another $682 million to Israel. Israel now is up to over $31 billion in a last year. Ukraine has now surpassed $300 billion, which half, $150 billion is unaccounted for. And Zelensky says, I have no idea where it's at. He openly states, I have no idea where $150 billion is. And we gave him more money. We gave $30 billion to Israel. Israel pays for their citizens to have free healthcare through their whole life, free education, bachelor's degrees into doctorates and PhDs, everything free. They get money every time they have a child. They get a monthly stipend. We're paying for it. Is anybody out there getting their free healthcare besides you illegals and anyone else that it just sucks off the tit of the American taxpayer? We don't get free education. We don't get free medical. We don't get monthly stipends for our children. So what? You won't even give me $2,000. You're fighting over $2,000. $2,000, yes. If I have that in my hand, it's a lot of money. I get that. But you're fighting over $2,000. I pay the max in Social Security. Probably almost the last 25 years of my life, I've been paying the max in Social Security, that which is now up to like over $9,000 to $10,000. You're making me pay the max of that. And you're taking my money. Everyone else in America, I don't care. All you leftists, you want to keep giving your money to the government? Fine. I want my money back. And if there are any rhinos in this group that are fine with giving their money to the United States government so they can squander it, that's fine too. I want mine back. I want all of it back. I don't want any more going to Ukrainians. I don't want any more to go to Israel. I don't want anything to go to Mexico. I want to go nowhere. But these bastards that run our government tell me that I'm being greedy for my $2,000 rebate. And they turn around and give over $1 trillion to Ukraine and Israel. Man, if you don't get pissed about this, either you don't pay a dime in taxes and you are a worthless citizen or illegal alien, or you are getting kickbacks from the federal government. Let's watch number 2. This is Trump talking about the rebates. Sir, I want the rebates like now. And I don't want $2,000. I want in the tens of thousands of dollars. Go ahead and play this, please.
That revenue coming in tens of billions of dollars. Do you think there's the possibility of a rebate to the American public in terms of all of that money?
We're thinking about that, actually. We have so much money coming in. We're thinking about a little rebate, but the big thing we want to do is pay down debt. But we're thinking about a rebate. That's a very good question. We just made a lot of news. We're thinking about a rebate because we have so much money coming in from tariffs that a little rebate for people of a certain income level might be very nice.
Listen, try to understand what's happening here. And we played a little bit of that Speaker Johnson, who is a great DEI hire. He's wonderful. The not Speaker Johnson, the Democrat leader. He's grotesquely stupid. And what he says is, we don't want the tariffs. It's hurting America. Well, wait a minute, you dumb bastard. In the 1880s, up to almost 1910, we were flush with cash. We had so much money from tariffs. We had no income tax. We had so much money from tariffs that we had to get a blue ribbon committee together to decide on how to spend it. That's how much money we had. Now we're 38 going on 39, $40 trillion in debt. And these idiots want no tariffs. They want the complete burden of the American economy and the world economy to fall on the shoulders of us Americans. and you will give us no money back. And the Republicans and the Democrats in the House and the Senate continue to vote for nothing for us. Nothing. Don't you think someone in the effing Senate and House would say, time out. I want to put forth legislation. We're going to vote on it. And I want to find a way to give money all the way back to America and Americans. And don't talk to me about households. Don't talk to me about we're going to give 2,000, 5,000, 10, 100,000 to a household. No. I want it per working adult. I have two incomes coming in, then I want two taxpayers. I want to be funded by two taxpayers. Don't give me your household crap. And I want no one. If you don't work, you don't get anything. You get zero. Nothing. If you're on welfare right now as we're speaking, you get nothing. In the last year, you've taken any social benefits, you get nothing. You didn't pay into this. I'm paying into it. Our government is so corrupt. If you can't see it, if you can't feel it, just feel the corruption. I'm going to show you this video, and it just, every time I see it, it just pisses me off. Let me just set this up, Nick. It just pisses me off. Ukraine flags are flying in the U.S. Congress as 112 Republicans voted to send $61 billion to Ukraine. This is about a year old. It doesn't matter. This is the point I'm trying to make. These are the same people that voted against Trump's border wall back in 2016 to 2020. Same people. What was that cost? It was about $5 to $10 billion max for the border wall. And they voted to not give it to him. That was Speaker Paul Ryan. But not now. We have Speaker Johnson that's going to ensure $61 billion goes to Ukraine. And it's a short video. It's about 12 seconds. But I want you to see a foreign nation's flag being flown inside of our Congress. Go ahead and play this. Why is there no American flags being flown? Why are they chanting Ukraine? Where's my representation? Where's my money? Where is my money? I don't want any money going to Ukraine. $0. Why? Because it's a boondoggle war again. Why is Russia mad? Well, we have 17 biolabs. Tulsi Gabbard comes out again this weekend. Yes, confirmed. At least 17 biolabs. What if China had biolabs in Juarez, in Tijuana, in Agua Prieta, in south of Arizona? You think we'd be pissed off? You think we would be going to war? I don't want money going to Ukraine because half of it's already gone. It's already come back to America through NGOs. Our politicians are worth tens of millions of dollars on a $174,000 a year salary. And they got a foreign flag cheering about giving away our money, and yet they cannot and will not vote to give us our money back. I'm going to show you another one. Nick, I look like I misnumbered it. It's going to be the one that's the House passes, the 14.3 billion. Before you play this, it's just a video, a picture of the House, but I want you to understand what they're cheering for. The House, this is the GOP House, just passed $14.3 billion for an Israeli supplement. Everyone voted against it or for it. The Republicans did, except 2. 12 Democrats sided with the Republicans and gave another $14.3 billion in emergency aid to Israel that now goes to the Senate. Have you had enough, America? Go ahead and just play this just for the effect to hear them. Please, Nick.
On this vote, the yeas are 226, the nays are 196. The bill is passed. Without objection, a motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
$14 billion for Israel, on top of another 15, another 30, another 50, another 100 billion over the course of what, a couple years. It's okay. Let's hit the gavel. Let's all cheer. That was the Republicans that did that. Speaker Johnson, why have you not kicked back money to us? Why? Why haven't you kicked money back to us? You keep saying that we need to it's irresponsible. We have to really pay down the debt. Well, sir, you keep giving billions of dollars to nations that are supposed to be our friends and nations that hate us. You're still giving $40 million every week to the Taliban, for God's sake. You think that'd be low-hanging fruit? Like when you find out that you are giving pallets of cash to the Taliban, that everyone would just go, oh, that's absurd. How did that happen? I'm voting against it. No, they won't vote against it. They keep doing it. Every week, another $40 million in pallets are being flown to the Taliban. But you can't get $2,000. $2,000 is great, Mr. President, but that's not going to do anything for me, buddy. How about this? Here's just something. Maybe Stephen Miller's listening, or anybody in your cabinet. How about abolishing the income tax? Why don't we do that? Why don't you do what you said when you were going to abolish the IRS? You can do that. You're the executive. Pare it back to where it has no one in it. No one. You want to spur the economy? Then you shut the IRS down and we have no income tax. Shut it down. Well, they can't shut it down. Why? Well, how are those politicians going to be able to get money in the tunes of hundreds of billions of dollars to trillions of dollars a year and sent overseas in order to fund the NGOs and get that money kicked back to them so they can be millionaires in the tens of millions, or be like Nancy Pelosi and have over $300 million in assets and cash on $174,000 a year salary? Donald Trump this past last week gave a speech that was just an absolute waste of time. Absolute waste. I watched it hoping, okay, we're going to hear something. It was like a long infomercial. And then in it, he said, I'm going to give every soldier $1,776, $1,776. That's fine. It's more show than anything, but I'm all for giving our soldiers anything. Just give them some more money. That's fine. But I want you to listen to the Democrats. They hate giving money to our military, and yet they're cheerleading for more money for Israel, cheerleading for more money in Ukraine, cheerleading for excessive spending in America for illegal aliens. And yet they mock money going to our soldiers. Play this one. I have a clip number 4. No, excuse me. It's the Democrats on. Yeah, that's it. Thank you, Nick.
Promote 1776 costs all he want and giving out a check that worked for him the first time. 1776, that's less than a rent check in DC. I don't even know what the impact of that is going to be. I want to bring
on some point, I agree with her, but not for the way that she's saying it. Give the military more money. I have no problem with that. I had zero problem with that at all, especially guys who are active duty. Give them more money, more money, more money. But it's the mocking of you with the very natural blonde extensions. Where's your outrage of trillions of dollars going overseas? 10 trillion in the last 2.5 decades for our war. $10 trillion. Where is your being appalled, your anger at $40 million of cash going to the Taliban every single week? but you're angry that Americans get money. It's unbelievable to me. It boggles my mind. Except when you understand the people in the media and our politicians hate America. That's just the truth. I know Donald Trump's there. I know his cabinet's there. But the other politicians, the deep state, the administrative state, whatever term you want to use, they hate America. There's no other explanation for the hatred of America. Look what they did to our country. 50 million illegal aliens, 30 million in the last 4 years. Somali pirates have already done 18 billion that they know of. They're like in the beginning of their investigation. It's not like you just go, oh, I'm going to open the books. Oh, okay, there it is. They left me a note and told me how much they stole. No, it takes a very long time. Forensic audits take time. And they've already found $18 billion. 107,000 third world retarded people stole $18 billion so far. No one's gone to jail. No one's of prominence. No one's going to jail. No one. We're just going to chalk it up to, oh, that's just the way it goes. We're heading into the Christmas week, man. And we need some hope. But we are going into January, which is going to be a 1-year anniversary of Donald Trump being president. And not one single person that has committed fraud, treason, stole the election, has done anything, has been arrested. That's not a good sign. To me, that is a deliberate decision on the Trump administration that they're not going to do it. We're all sitting here, and if I hear 5D chess one more time, I'm going to scream. We are all sitting here hoping, will tomorrow be the day when they make all these arrests? They're never making the arrest. It's not going to happen. I heard right after Donald Trump was elected, it was a very short interview Eric Trump gave, and they asked him that very question, when will the arrest start? And he said, we have made a decision not to arrest anybody. I can't find that video anywhere anymore. It happened like that fast. And I remember watching it going, oh, dear God, did he just say that out loud? Yes. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. One way you can support my show is support the companies that support my program. That's sat123.com. sat123.com/JJ. I promise you, go to that website, and it is the title should be the website that makes you prepared. Sat phones. You get a brand new sat phone for free when you get a monthly subscription. They have Faraday bags to hide all of your phones from listening in on you or people stealing your information. Generators with solar panels. And as I spoke last week with our friend Chris from Sat123, we talked about the need of a ballistic backpack. I think every child should, at minimum, every child should have this backpack before they go to school. Every single one of them. 10 of them get together in a corner, huddle, and put up their backpacks. Bullets going to hit their backpacks. It's going to save lives. I know that sounds crazy, but it's true. sat123.com/JJ. Go to that website and be prepared. Get prepared. Everything that we're living through has already happened. We've already seen it. We know how this ends if we don't change our ways. And it doesn't look like we're changing our ways. It just doesn't. We're going to spend or have our money stolen to a way that we're never going to be able to recover. except a massive war. We need to get prepared. And one way you do that is to go to sat123.com/JJ. And the other way that you can support me is go to my website at jjcarrell.com, jjcarrell.com, or my Substack at jjcarrell.substack.com, jjcarrell.substack.com. Go there, just spread the word. That's all I ask. Spread the word. Go to YouTube and Rumble. Click on my subscriber button so I add subscribers so that it becomes more and more impossible for them to censor me. Go to jjcarrell.com, jjcarrell.substack.com. All right. I have stumbled across this man. His name is Andrew Branca. He has a show called the Andrew Branca Show. And he's a lawyer. And I love all of his content. I love all of his content. And he does not hold back. And this, I wrote down in my notes, I'm going to read it to you because it just is, this is the greatest explanation about America's greatness. And then that America is just not an idea. I hope Vic Ramaswamy, who I used to like, he had great ideas, and then I start to look into him more. I don't really care, sir. You keep watering down American citizenship to be some kind of America's an idea. America's not an idea, you jackass. We're not like evolution, you morons that believe in evolution, that all of a sudden America just became what it is because, hell, it's just the way it is. It's geography. America, for whatever reason, it's just great. No, it's not. It's great because of the people that are here. It's because of what we built. The white Christian settlers, not the immigrants, the settlers. We're a nation of settlers. And to just bring people in and assume that we're all going to get along and that they're going to enjoy and prosper and participate in America's greatness. No, they don't have the capacity. They don't have the intellectual capacity, the moral capacity, the spiritual capacity. Stop this horrific belief of diversity is a strength. Diversity is a cancer. Listen to him. I love how he plays this out.
I mean, just think about it from this perspective too, right? If America is just an idea, it wasn't a magical confluence of a people and an IQ and a philosophy and a worldview and a religious faith and all these magical elements. If it's not that, a very complicated potpourri of characteristics that in combination, the value of which is greater than the sum of its parts. If it's not that, why is it only here? Why doesn't India just look at America and say, oh, we should just do that? Because they can't. They can't. Why doesn't Sub-Sahara just say, oh, shit, look at Americans. They have a nice standard of living. Let's just do that America shit. Because they can't. Now, again, is it possible that some particular individual might come from some third world country and fully assimilate? Maybe people can do remarkable things, but not en masse. People don't do that in large numbers. When you invite people in large numbers, first of all, you're not inviting the exceptional anymore. You're inviting the average. And by the way, the more of them you bring of the same common culture, their home culture, the less inclination or ability there is to discard that culture. Now they just live together. They set up these little cultural ghettos, like the Somalians in Minneapolis, or the Muslims setting up their private little Islam towns all over Texas, or in Dearborn, Michigan. That's what they do. So again, it's simply impossible to bring in any substantial numbers of these people and do anything but balkanize America. They don't become Americans. They remain non-Americans forever. And that's not good for America.
It's not good for America. He's 100% factually true. You can't bring in large groups of people, put them in a community, and expect them to begin to speak English, to assimilate. That's not what's happened. And our government has done this on purpose. They have completely balkanized the United States of America. Look at Ilhan Omar. Look at Rashida Tlaib. Those two vile women. How did they get elected? Well, because their own countrymen have flooded into communities. And we sit here and we wonder, well, why is America going to the dumps? Why is America beginning to have trending third world problems? Because we invited the third world into our country. And we believed through decades of propaganda that diversity is our strength. Instead of looking at and saying, hey, America's great because of why? Well, what is our predominant demographic? White Christians, from Europe. Maybe we could start there. Maybe that might be part of the litmus test if you get to come to America. Maybe it shouldn't have been, let's stop all of the white Europeans in 1960s, stop it in 1965, and open the floodgates to the mentally retarded Latin America, in Africa, in the Middle East. How could anyone with two brain cells rattling around in their brain not see what was going to happen? And Mr. Branca is absolutely correct. If America was an idea, as the other propaganda lie, America is just an idea. Vic Ramaswamy, just when you come here and you're American, you're American. No, you're not, Vic. Vivek. No, you're not, dude. You're from India. You don't just become an American because you say you're American or you got some piece of paper because you came under some fraudulent amnesty crap. No, we're more than that, Vivek. So why doesn't India look at us and go, damn, I want some of that. Let's bring some of that over here. Because they can't. Why doesn't the Middle East that are inbreeding with their cousins that have mental retardation as a national problem? Why can't they? Because they're illiterate. The Middle East and Sub-Saharan Africa are living in mud huts. They don't have running water. They don't even have paved roads. And somehow that society, that culture is equivalent to America? People that marry their first cousins at such an alarming rate that 50% are incestuous and they have mental retardation, that you're going to equate that society and culture with mine? How dare you? You may be a self-hating American, but don't project that shit onto me. You're a loser. You hate yourself for whatever reason you bought into the propaganda that whites are bad. That's on you. I think you're a jackass. I think you're a moron. I think you are subhuman in the way you think. In fact, I think you should go with the other subhumans in the foreign third world nations. And you have sex with your cousins. You mutilate each other with machetes. You do genital mutilation. You live in dirt huts with no running water, no electricity. You walk around with dirty bare feet and dirty clothes. You have to drive around in rickshaws because there's no cars. Have pollution all over the place. Go do that. But our nation doesn't want it. The Americans don't want it. The people that hate America, they want it. America is not an idea. Do you know how insulting that is to say that about our founding fathers? George Washington, that said he knew where his army was because when it snowed, he could see the blood-soaked ice and snow because they had rags around their feet. They were wearing shoes with boots that had holes in them. That's not an idea, Vivek Ramaswamy and all you Democrats and you disgusting rhinos. That's called action. That's called, this is what I believe. We've written it down on a piece of paper. It's not an idea. I wrote it down on a piece of paper. It's a game plan. This is what we're doing, and I'm going to die for it. I'm either going to die or I'm going to sell everything I have for the Continental Army, and I'm going to fight tooth and nail to make this country great. That's not an idea. And I'm not going to allow people like Vivek Ramaswamy and other politicians to dumb us down and water us down to be something insignificant. Our citizenship means everything. And I'm not going to stand by and allow people to destroy it. Maybe they win in the long run, but I promise you, I'm not going to remain silent. I'm going to speak the truth. You don't just become an American. And to diminish people that are born here, that are American citizens and can trace their lineage, to somehow insult us, that somebody that just came over on some bullshit visa and got some bullshit amnesty or some bullshit pathway into their citizenship, they're somehow equal to me as a U.S. citizen. Are you out of your effing mind? Are you kidding me? Could they become great Americans? Maybe. Are there great Americans that naturalized here legally? Absolutely. Are they better Americans than me? That has been slogging it out here for 50-something years? Have my parents and my great-parents and my great-grandparents slogging it out and building this country? That person that came from India, Russia, Germany, Kyrgyzstan, whatever the hell, third world, Haiti and Venezuela, and they become American citizens, they have, are you telling me that they have the same amount of ownership of this country as I do? Are you out of your effing mind? That's if I move to Germany. Great country, beautiful infrastructure. They're dying because they're bringing Muslims in by the millions. But let's just say I move there and I get my German citizenship. I can't sit there and say, look what I've done to Germany. Look what I've created. I'm a German. No. You didn't build these castles. You didn't fight our wars. No, I know I'm German. I own all this. I would never assume that I own all this. You know how intellectually stupid I would be to assume that to capture the German heritage and say I'm a German and I own all this. Same thing with you new Americans. You don't own this country. You came into this greatness. Do I applaud you for doing it right? Yes, and I welcome you. Absolutely. And I want you to thrive. I want you to be as American as me. But you don't have ownership over my country. You do not share the same shares that I do and my family owns. You see the absurdity of that? But Vivek Ramaswamy and people like that, they have to sell this crap. We don't even know if Vivek Ramaswamy is a U.S. citizen or a birthright, or he's an anchor baby. Hell, I don't know. But what I do know is when people like Vivek Ramaswamy and people like that begin to talk about or diminishing the value of American citizenship, I immediately have a problem with that. And I immediately begin to question every single thing you've ever said or everything I've ever heard that I agree with. I have to now, it's tainted with that belief. And to believe that all cultures are the same is absurd. I'm going to show you this video, and this man talks about Japanese versus, say, Pakistan. And listen to how the numbers don't lie. It's not about race. It's about culture and society. And all cultures and all societies are not equal, period.
They commit violent crime at a rate that's 135,000% higher. Let's compare two different cultures because it's such a good point. It's not so much about the race, the ethnicity, as it is the culture. There are 39,000 Japanese citizens who live in Germany. Can we agree Japanese people are not white, right? They're Asians, right? It's a different nation, different ethnicity, but a culture that is, I would say, incredibly honor-based, incredibly excellence-driven, right? Out of 39,000 Japanese citizens in Germany, 2 of them were ever suspected of violent crime in 2023. Now, there are 25,000 Algerian citizens living in Germany, right? So there's 30-ish% less Algerians than they are Japanese in Germany. But out of 25,000 Algerians, there are 1,729 of them who were suspected of violent crime in 2023. So they commit violent crime at a rate that's 135,000% higher than the rate that Japanese immigrants commit violent crime in Germany. So that's exactly the point. It's not the ethnicity, it's the culture. They commit.
I agree with that. But there's an aspect of that. The culture has been ingrained into the Japanese, whereas the culture has also and equally been ingrained from the Algerians, from the Africans, from the Middle Easterns, from all the third world shitholes that litter our globe. Or if you don't believe in the globe, the flat earth. And to assume that they're all the same is completely asinine. To say that the Japanese are the same culture or equal in stature, say, with Pakistan, that somehow Australia or New Zealand is the same as Kyrgyzstan, or the United States of America is the same as Haiti, Cuba, Venezuela, and Latin America. On the face of it, you are a moron. You are an intellectual moron. It doesn't even pass the smell test. We don't even get into any academics. Just the title, just you saying that out loud at the very beginning makes you incompatible to have an intellectual conversation. You're an idiot. Look at this. I'm going to show you. If you just get this one up, and I just want to give it a second to play out. This is, I think it's Jack Posabic. Excuse me. This was in 2024, and he's going to list the numbers of violent crimes happen in America by illegal aliens. And I want you to understand that I don't agree at all with the statistics that he's going to say, because they're incorrect. However, and I know where he's getting it from. He's getting it from the government website. I understand that. But you obviously, please tell me you don't trust the federal government. I have my own data that I bring in from multiple sources to cross-reference on the border. I have the right numbers. And the numbers that he's going to tell you, you can times it times 10,000. Like 10,000 times. Assaults are 33,000. You could times that times 10. You could times that by 1,000 in America every year by illegal aliens. They can't capture it. This is all fantasy numbers. But even the fantasy numbers are so damaging. This is what's happened in America. So when you hear this data that he's saying, I want you to understand, we imported third world, mentally retarded, morally bankrupt, people that are illiterate. They can barely function as a human. We brought tens of millions of them into America, and this is what we're getting. Go ahead and play this, please.
Illegal aliens arrested by ICE in 2023. Assaults, 33,000. Homicide and murder, 1,700. Robberies, 3,000. Sex crimes, 4,300. Burglaries, 6,900. Weapons crimes, 7,500. In just the last month alone, there's been an accelerating rate of the high-profile violent crimes. Jose Antonio Ibarra, the Venezuelan national who brutally murdered a 22-year-old nursing student while she was jogging. Nilson Trejo Grandos, an El Salvadoran national who shot and killed a 2-year-old boy in Maryland as he was walking along with his mother. Renzo Mendoza Montes, a Venezuelan national, raped a 14-year-old girl in Virginia. Stephen Claude Radigan, a Jamaican national, shot 3 D.C. police officers not far from the studios where I sit right now. And finally, Angelo Matias Castellanos Oriana, a Honduran national, raped a 14-year-old girl, repeatedly stabbed another man during a robbery in Louisiana. Wait, one more. Jesus Alejandro Rivas Figueroa, a Venezuelan national, shot a tourist in New York City. Joe Biden, you can go down to the border every single day between now and November 5th, but it will not undo these crimes.
Do me a favor, Nick. Can you go back maybe about 15 seconds to the end of that? I want to show that bridge, or maybe a shot of the hordes of humanity, because I want to drive home this point. If you could pull that up. Either, yeah, that's fine there, or maybe go back to the bridge where they're crossing on the bridge. That's fine too. Yeah, right there. Yeah. I want my audience to understand. Can you play it? Because it's going to pull back a little bit, give you an idea. We're looking at
a 14-year-old girl repeat.
That's good right there. That bridge is going into America. On that bridge, you probably have what jammed in there, maybe 3,000, maybe. I want you to understand, under Joe Biden, every single day, at least 3 to 4 times that was arrested and released into America. Let me put this into a better, when I give speeches here in Kansas and Missouri, people ask me to come speak because it's close, I can just drive. I want you to think of this as I'm speaking, and you can use this as a reference, just as an idea, a visual, if you will. Here in Kansas City, where I live, we have the Kansas City Chiefs, right? Having a bad year this year, but multiple Super Bowls. Stadium holds 75,000-ish, probably about 7. Let's use 70,000 as a round number, okay? 70,000 people packed into Arrowhead Stadium going absolutely bonkers. I want you to understand, if we use the number of 10,000 a day were arrested and released, which is about, quote, the average of what the government says, I believe another 10 to 15,000 cross the border every single day, undetected, absconded. But let's, again, what Jack is using, I want to use their numbers because their numbers are damning and they are easily accessible and seen on a piece of paper or your computer screen. 10,000. So every 7 days, the stadium, Arrowhead Stadium, in 7 days, or 10 days, 7 days, is packed to capacity. 70,000 people, 70,000 illegal aliens in 1 week are packed into that stadium. And when the clock strikes 12:01 to start the next 7 days, I open the floodgates on the north part of the stadium, and I flood America with those 70,000 people. But I don't close the southern gates. I leave them open. And I fill that stadium up to another 70,000 in 7 days. And I release them. And I do that over and over and over and over every single week for 4 years. And inside those 70,000, 60 to 70% of them are single adult military-aged men from the continent of Africa, Middle East, Haiti, and Venezuela. There's about 20-ish% of women and children. Of those 20%, which would make it about 15 or 20,000 women and children, 60 to 80% of that 20,000-ish have already been raped or sexually assaulted. You have hundreds of terrorists. You have thousands, tens of thousands of criminal gang members, violent criminals each week are released into America. All of those people on that bridge, all the people that pack that stadium every week, every single one of them will get free healthcare. They will get free phone, free housing, free education, cash cards with tens of thousands of dollars on it. They will never work. They will get free housing in hotels for over 2 years. And you, the American citizen, is going to pay for it all. All of it. And what does it look like on a very micro incident, so you have some idea? Well, this is a video from South Central or South LA, and is a white student being stomped and beaten into unconsciousness on the streets of LA by, looks like 10, 15, 20 Hispanics, illegal alien children, or children of illegal alien people. This is what has now become the norm in America. Play this and tell me you don't get sick.
Wow. Oh my God. Oh. Oh. Oh my God.
White kid stomped into death, maybe. You know what I find fascinating in that video? Nobody did anything. Why? I mean, right off the bat, you say, well, they're cowards. Well, yeah, they're cowards. But why doesn't anybody do anything? You know why? This is something never discussed. Everyone wants to go to the coward part. And I agree, they're cowards. I would never sit there and allow that to happen. But why? Why did they sit there and watch it? Because they're normalized to it. They've seen it in their culture so much that this is just, well, damn it, there's another kid getting stomped to death. Oh, well, I hope this doesn't stop me from getting home in time. I always find it interesting that nobody really cares until that's your child. Then all of a sudden it's a big deal, right? It's a huge, huge deal. But it wasn't that big a deal when it wasn't your child. And if you think your child's going to just skate through life with 50, 60, 70 million third world savages and tens of millions of their third world savage children, and you think your family's going to escape it, you're a fool. What else has Joe Biden done to America and to the Republicans have allowed to have happen? Well, we brought in last week, we find out that, and I laugh, right? I laugh at this number because it's so asinine. It's so sophomoric, but let's go with it, okay? DHS found that 18,000 known terrorists on the terrorist watch list were allowed into America. It gets worse. The Republicans now, their reasoning for no course of action, no remedial course of action is, well, the law doesn't allow us to deport them. They're allowed to stay here. You have known terrorists by 18,000, and you won't arrest them and deport them because of some quasi law that Biden initiated or put these people under. That's how gutless. I mean, I like this guy. I'm going to show you this guy. I need you to stop at around 216 for me, please, Nick. But this is Eli Crane. But Mr. Crane doesn't. Mr. Crane's not going to solve our problems. Okay, just not. Benny Johnson's going to talk to him, and he's kind of resolved to the fact that, yeah, it's just these 18,000 terrorists. We're just going to have to allow them to live amongst us. Think about not the normalization of chaos so much, but think of how gutless we are as a country, as a race of people, as Americans. You think our founding fathers, the World War I, World War II generation, to my father's generation, do you think they would just say, it's all right, let's just let the terrorists stay here? This is how bad, this is how far America has gone. Go ahead and play this, please, Nick.
There were 18,000 people on the known terrorist watch list let into this country under Joe Biden. It's suicidal.
Yeah, Betty, thanks for having me on, man. I've only been in Congress for 3 years, but I will tell you that this last week in Homeland Security, when Director Kent from the Center of, Counterterrorism here in the United States came to testify before us, he brought up that statistic and it made me sick to my stomach and it shocked me. 18,000 known or suspected terrorists in the country under Joe Biden, Benny. Many of us were screaming about this during the Biden administration, saying, don't do this. Please shut the border down, secure the visa program. These guys are not stupid. They saw it. We could see it. They most certainly saw it. They knew to exploit it. And now the data is 18,000. And I had Director Kent in my office this morning. I wanted to, ask him some more questions about this. And Benny, the thing that he said to me that, compounded the shock factor was he said, and those are just the ones that we know of, Benny. Okay. I want to remind you and your audience, it took 19 operators to pull off 9/11, who I will remind you shared the same ideology as these 18,000. I asked Joe Kent to unpack that number for myself and other members of the Homeland Security Committee, because I was expecting, Benny, he might say, well, 5,000 of them are, from ISIS, Al Qaeda, other jihadi organizations, and the other, 13,000 of them are, cartel members who are now considered, terrorist members because we just, classified some of these cartels as terrorist organizations. No, Benny, that's not what he said. He said there were 2,000 Afghanis, and then the other 16,000 were from jihadi organizations like ISIS and Al Qaeda right here in this country. And you know what else is scary, Benny, that he told me? He said, in most cases, we can't even remove these people until they commit a crime.
Do you feel safe, America? Listen to Mr. Crane. I don't. It's not just Mr. Crane. It's all of them. You can't remove a terrorist from your country because of some law that or policy that Secretary of DHS Mayorkas did under Joe Biden. When are we going to actually be a nation of strong men and say, I don't really give a damn about your quote due process or you're a terrorist. Get out of my country. I'm arresting you. I'm putting you on a flight. I'm sending you out of here. Why is that so hard? Why is that so hard to understand? Why is that so hard to do? And here's what's going to happen. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. Number one, they're not 18,000 terrorists, guys. Okay? Special interest aliens called SIAs are terrorists. Joe Biden's Border Patrol arrested over 200,000 of them and released all of them into America. You have hundreds of thousands of terrorists in America, not 18,000. But what's going to happen is we're going to begin to find out. Last week we're at like 6,000 known terrorists. Now we're at 18. We'll be up in the 50s probably by in a couple more months. And within a year, we'll probably be at 100, 200,000 known terrorists. We're not going to do anything about it. And then there's going to be a gigantic terrorist attack or multiple terrorist attacks. And we are all going to sit here clutching our pearls and wringing our hands. How did we get here? How did this happen in America? What are we going to do about it? And my favorite, which I know is going to happen, we have to fight against being Islamofascist. We cannot be a Islamophobe. Okay. We're doomed if we don't get systemic change in our government. We are doomed if we do not recapture our Christian beliefs and our Christian roots that made this country great. We are doomed if strong Christian men continue to remain silent and continue to be not physical. This is a kinetic war we're in. We are in a kinetic battle. This is not a word battle. We're not having arguments and debates. This is now a kinetic war for the soul of America. And I believe there are more than enough men like myself that are ready to engage in this physical war, because it is going to happen sooner than later.